Hello, I'm Richard Bolden, a Senior Lecturer and Head of the Centre for Leadership Studies at the University of Exeter Business School. My colleagues and I have just completed a report for the Leadership Foundation on academic leadership in UK higher education. The aim of this research was to explore the experiences of people in non-formal roles of the leadership of academic work. And where this differs from previous work done in the sector is by looking beyond the leadership of the institution to the ways people think more broadly about their academic work in terms of their teaching, their research, their other forms of engagement and citizenship type behaviours. So this research took as its starting point the view of leadership as a process of social influence whereby people in leadership roles, part of the aim of leadership is to bring around a sense of shared direction, alignment and commitment within institutions. So the research was conducted using a multi-method approach. We had three main phases to the research. The first phase involved a large-scale web-based survey whereby people from across the sector in the UK were invited to respond about their experiences of leadership and their perceptions and their aspirations towards leadership within their own institution. That part of the research was completed by just under 330 people from 23 different UK institutions. The second phase of the research looked at the context in which this research was occurring, in which people's perceptions and experiences of academic leadership were shaped. The research that we conducted occurred during a major period of change within UK higher education. There was changes in terms of funding, the increase in student fees, the change in research context and environment. And we wanted to explore within a group setting how people experienced and made sense of these changes and how they may impact on their desire to engage. So the second part of the research, the second phase of the research involved a series of what we call listening post discussions, whereby we invited a group of academics from across a range of different institutions to come together and discuss in a group environment about their experiences of academic leadership and their aspirations and views about changes going on in the sector. The third and final phase of the research looked at involved in-depth one-to-one personal interviews with a selection of people who'd replied to the questionnaire, and also a small selection of additional people. About 2/3 of the interviewees were people who'd completed the questionnaire and about 1/3 had not. A total of 39 interviews were conducted across 11 UK higher education institutions. In terms of the findings, of what we found was a reasonably consistent theme across the three phases of the research that we did, and it became quite clear that people didn't necessarily look for academic leadership to those people in formal managerial positions within their institutions. So key finding from our study was the extent to which people, when talking about academic leadership and the people they found influential in terms of their academic work, was they did not talk about those people who held formal roles within their institution, such as head of department, director of research, director of teaching and so on. But they talked much more of people who were close to them in terms of as colleagues, as peers, and also people who had held a significant role at their point of acculturation and development as an academic. So people often described their PhD supervisor, their doctoral supervisor. People often talked about their first line manager, their manager when they were a postdoctoral researcher, and so on, as people who had shaped and framed the way they thought about their academic work and went about that. When asked to talk about the contribution that people in formal managerial roles, management roles, could make on behalf of them, the academics within the participants within our study identified three main areas. They talked firstly about the importance of those people being able to create and sustain an enabling environment in which they could have access to appropriate resources, support and processes to get on and enable them to do their academic work. They also looked for people in these roles to help articulate and support and defend a sense of academic purpose connected to a sense of identity and values around what academic work within that particular area involved. And they also looked for people who were able to transcend and work across boundaries for them, who could act as an intermediary between the different stakeholder groups and individuals and organisations that have a part and a stake to play within higher education. Another key lesson that came out of this research really was the sense that once academics had reached a certain level of professionality, a certain level within their profession, they looked to be self-leading. They didn't really look for leadership elsewhere, and they didn't look particularly to be led by formal leaders within their own institution. They had a clear sense of where their academic work would be taking them and looked to their institutions to support and enable them to continue to do that. So really the key finding from this research was that people looked for academic leadership well beyond the bounds of their own organisation. And the important lesson I think about this is saying that for institutions looking to understand and develop and explore how they can develop and support academic leadership is to look beyond just their own institutional boundaries and processes. A key theoretical idea behind this research was about the importance of social identity in leadership as a leadership process, whereby it seemed to be important that a leader represents and seem to embody the identities of the people that they're leading. So the main themes of the research are about the need to recognise academics as professionals and who are led by their work rather than the institution. It's also about the need to create space and a suitable environment for the facilitation of discussion and debate around the purpose and aims of academic work and of individual institutions and of higher education more widely, and the contribution that can make to society. So we suggest that institutions could use this research to help drive debate and discussion between different staff groups around the purpose of academic work and the ways in which they recognise and reward that work. And they can also use it to review their organisational systems and processes and also their development processes for people so that they are more closely aligned with the importance of academic values and identities and a sense of purpose that resonates with the nature of academic work rather than simply addressing them and aligning them with institutional aims and objectives. And we've also had a certain amount of feedback from people outside the higher education sector, so we've shared it with colleagues in health service and professional legal services, and many of whom have said they share similar issues and challenges in their own sectors, and again found it helpful in terms of looking at the importance of how we articulate and develop processes that support and embed the importance of identity as a working professional, rather than simply focusing on institutional processes and systems. So one of the other key findings and recommendations from the research that particularly came out of the work we did in the listening post was about the sense that there wasn't really a strong voice for academics within policy debates and institutional debates and within the sector at the moment. There was a sense of a need for a much stronger academic voice as saying, well, what is the purpose and the contribution of higher education in society? So on July the 9th, I'm really looking forward to the opportunity to discuss these ideas further with you, to explore the extent to which they may resonate with your own experiences from your own organisations, and to work with heads of department and other people in leadership roles within their institutions to explore what might be the implications for what they could do and how they could work with these lessons in their organisation. So I'm really looking forward to seeing you there. I hope you can come, and we look forward to continuing the discussion.